This is part 2 of today's lesson, Frames and Arrows, 112. Okay, and we just talked about how to find patterns in numbers, which we did in problems 1 through 4. We practiced in problem 1. We found the pattern. It was adding 3. Now, down here in the frames and arrows, they all say rule, 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 rule. So, well, that is actually means the pattern. Okay, so the pattern is the rule. So you just write that right there, what happens. Okay, and this is actually, these blank circles here are just like these blank lines. Okay, so that's what I want you to think of this as. Now, in these ones, these arrows are all the same. There aren't any strange changes that happen. They're all solid arrows. You go from this one to this one. Who knows what our pattern is? Could you raise your hand if you know what our pattern is for number 5? Okay. I'll give you a hint if you're not sure about the pattern. I would have you looking right up here at the screen so that you could find the pattern on your own. Okay? And what is the pattern? Raise your hand if you know it. Okay. All right, lots of you seem to know it. Some of you still not sure. Right? Well, over here we have something that says rule. Raise your hand if you can see where it says rule. Raise your hand if you see where it says rule. Okay. If you see rule, see this number right underneath it? And the adding sign? That's our pattern. Okay, that rule right there. That's going to be our pattern. So our pattern in number 5 is going to be to add 5 cents. Okay? And if you want to write pattern beside it to help you remember that rule means pattern, you can do that. Okay? And it tells you the first one. 10 cents. That's like having a dime. And you remember we worked with money just yesterday, didn't we? Okay? So it wants to know what happens if we add 5 cents. Okay? It wants to know what happens if we add 5 cents. Who can tell me what happens to 10 cents if we add 5 more cents to it? Raise your hand if you know what's going to happen in this next box. Okay? Good. Lots of you seem to know. That's great. So, you know what I like to do for the rules to remind myself? And it has the solid arrow right down there. Every time you see this solid arrow, you're going to add 5 cents. So I write that right above it to help me remember that that's what I'm going to do. And you can do that too. Okay? Just to make sure you're on track with it. And then got one more. Okay? And I don't want you working on this just yet. I want you watching the lesson first. Okay? So we have 10 cents, and we add 5 cents to it. Who knows what 10 cents plus 5 cents is? Okay, most of you, 15 cents. The cool thing about adding 5 cents is we can count by 5s. All right, so we have 10, 15. We're going to count by another 5. We'll have 20. Okay, and so far, 10, 15, 20. This one already says it for us, that it's 25. Raise your hand if you think that matches with our pattern. Okay? It does match because look, we're counting by 5s. And then we have another 5. Okay? And that's going to be 30 cents. Okay, so that's what number 5 should look like where you're doing your first set of frames and arrows. Okay? Then you've got number 6, number 7. Okay, at number 7 it doesn't start it out for you. So you'll have to figure out what happens between these two numbers. Okay? That will be your pattern, and then you check it. Okay? You check and see if that works for you. Number 8, this word is double. D-O-U-B-L-E. Okay? Double. And double means what? Who knows what double means? Raise your hand if you know what double means. Okay, double means, for those of you that don't know, times 2, okay, or adding 2 of the same numbers together. So if the number is 5, you would do 5 plus 5. If the number is 8, you would do 8 plus 8. And for those of you who are kind of thinking about multiplication already, okay, this 5 plus 5 is the same thing as 5 times 2. 8 plus 8 is the same thing as 8 times 2. Okay? And all of these things are called doubling. All right? You're doubling when you do that, when you do 2 of the same number. Okay? Then you get to make up your own. All right? I don't want to see just plus 0 in here and the same numbers all the way across. I'd like you to put a little bit of thought into this, please. Okay? So this is page 23 in your math journal, lesson 112 of Everyday Math. And the cool part about this is your home link is also frames and arrows today. Okay, you have an addition one, a subtraction one, and then you have some money practice down at the bottom of your home link. Okay, and that's going to be home link 1.12 for Everyday Math.